We followed in the tradition of the great polar explorers, setting our sights on Antarctica with this fascinating 13-day Viking expedition cruise on the new Viking Polaris. This ultimate adventure takes us to the Antarctic Peninsula, where we witness towering glaciers, snow-covered landscapes, immense icebergs, and epic wildlife. In the footsteps of explorers such as Amundsen, Shackleton, and Scott, we are one of the few to discover the world's last truly wild frontier. Our once-in-a-lifetime journey begins in Argentina's capital, Buenos Aires. We arrive and checked into our hotel in Buenos Aires, Argentina's cosmopolitan capital. It is an eclectic combination of Latin and European influences. The tree-lined streets and post-colonial architecture draw on the city's Spanish, French, and Italian heritage, while the many cafes and bodegas and vibrant nightlife are decidedly Argentine. Here the iconic obelisk, not from Egypt, but designed by the Argentine architect Alberto Prebisch and erected in 1936 to commemorate the 400th anniversary of the city's founding. We take a city tour of Plaza de Mayo, the main square of the city where Casa Rosada is located. Also known as the Government House, it is the official workplace of the President of Argentina and a prominent landmark in Buenos Aires, and is famous for its distinctive pink color. From there we headed to La Boca, the old port where tango was born. La Boca and its famous street Caminito are popular tourist destinations known for their vibrant culture, artistic atmosphere, and the iconic tango. From the verandas are figures of Juan and Eva Perón, Che Guevara, and soccer legend Diego Maradona, who wave down from balconies. The houses here represent the neighborhood's typical tenement shacks, covered in corrugated zinc and originally brushed with leftover paint that Genoa's port workers got from the ships. Caminito, or Little Path, was named after a 1926 tango song. After breakfast, we check out of our hotel and board our 3.5-hour charter flight to our embarkation city, Ushuaia, Argentina, the southernmost city in the world. As we approach, this largely unspoiled region comprises the large island of Tierra del Fuego, Land of Fire. We fly over the countless Chilean and Argentine islands and snow-capped Andes Fueguinos, the southern extension of the Andes. Its splendid setting, tucked between the Beagle Channel and the southernmost slopes of the Andes, lends it an outpost atmosphere, as do the Antarctic explorers preparing for the expeditions that depart from here. Ushuaia, the capital of Tierra del Fuego province, with a population of nearly 90,000. We go to the Ushuaia tourism office to get our passports stamped and pick up a certificate for visiting the most southern city in the world. However, literally across the street is Port Williams, Chile, who claim they are the most southern city in the world with a population of 2,874. We boarded the Viking Polaris, a modern expedition ship launched in 2022. As a Polar Class 6 vessel, it can navigate through 2 to 4 feet thick ice during summer and autumn. Leon and Pat are in the spacious Nordic Junior Suite on Deck 4, while Sue and I are in the smaller deluxe Nordic balcony stateroom on Deck 3. The ship has modern accommodations and features 3 specialty restaurants, as well as a main restaurant that serves items such as filet and lobster daily. The Viking expedition ship carries 378 guests and 256 crew, resulting in an impressive 2 to 3 crew to guest ratio, while the friendly staff remembers your name. Truly amazing. Soon after we board, we started the 2-day, 600-mile voyage across the Drake Passage between Cape Horn and Livingston Island in the South Shetland archipelago. The Drake Passage, named after the English explorer Sir Francis Drake, has a notorious reputation for being the roughest seas on Earth. While the waters were calm during our crossings, the swells were over 30 feet the previous week. We prepare for our adventure with Viking's outerwear and expedition gear, including parkas, waterproof pants, life jackets, high water boots, and walking poles. Our outerwear is inspected to avoid harming wildlife. The Helly Hansen red parkas and liners were a gift from Viking. We have arrived at the South Shetland archipelago, where we'll sail around the islands and peninsula for the next 7 days. The exact location varies depending on weather conditions. We mainly explore in zodiacs, small rigid inflatable boats for about 10 people. For longer trips from the ship, we use a high-speed jet boat called the Special Operations Boat. I captured these high-speed shots of humpback whales making a deep dive and exposing their flukes, which are used to identify the whale like a human fingerprint. This is likely a young whale with mostly white and few barnacles on the underside of its fluke. This is another humpback whale and appears older due to the underneath side of the fluke is yellow and full of barnacles. Whales don't expel water through their blowholes. The spray you see is surface water pushed up by their powerful exhale. Humpback whales have two blowholes like our nostrils. Our ship's drone captured them expelling water and taking a breath. This is another video I took from the ship's deck that shows a whale making a deep dive and exposing its fluke. I captured a still of these flukes and uploaded them to the happywhale.com website as shown here. This particular whale was originally spotted off the coast of Ecuador and traveled thousands of miles to Antarctica. Humpback whales don't have teeth, but instead have baleen plates like a sieve in their mouth. They consume up to 3,000 pounds of small organisms such as krill, plankton, and tiny schooling fish by filtering large gulps of water through their baleen. This next amazing video was taken from a zodiac right in front of our ship. The large bumps on its head are tubercles, which are hair follicles connected to sensory nerves. The whitish rings are crustacean called acorn barnacles. The two bumps at the top of the whale's head are not his eyes. The eyes are located below water level, above its pectoral fins. This resembles a whale performing pirouettes at SeaWorld, but it's happening in the wild right before our eyes. The whale remains motionless with its head upright. It's truly amazing. At this point, other zodiacs gathered to observe this rare event. And then the whale swims off. The icy expanse of Antarctica is the home of 8 penguin species. As shown in this chart, the emperor penguin being the tallest at 47 inches, and the rockhopper is less than half that size. Note that the smallest penguins in the world are the little blue or fairy penguins that are just 13 inches tall and are only found in Australia and New Zealand. Our shore landing somewhere around the South Shetland Islands, where a bustling community of penguins thrives. Among them, the Gentoo and chinstrap penguins are the most prominent. The Gentoo penguins, with their distinctive white stripe across the top of their heads, are known for their playful and curious nature. They can often be seen waddling along the rocky shores, their orange beaks gleaming in the sunlight. Here are some of these penguins making their careful trek on the slippery rocks. These penguins are excellent swimmers, diving deep into the frigid waters to catch their favorite meal, krill. This Gentoo penguin walks carefully around the large white whale bones scattered along the shore, as if acknowledging the long-lost sea giants whose remains now mark the harsh landscape of Antarctica. With his flippers back for better balance, he treks on. Not far from the Gentoo colonies, the chinstrap penguins make their home. Named for the narrow black band under their heads that looks like a helmet strap, these penguins are equally fascinating. Chinstrap penguins are known for their loud, braying calls that echo across the icy landscape, sounding remarkably like donkeys. They are agile climbers, often scaling steep cliffs to find the perfect nesting spot. Despite the harsh conditions of Antarctica, the Gentoo and chinstrap penguins have adapted remarkably well. They huddle together for warmth, share food, and protect their young from predators. However, their colonies are not without their challenges. The air is often filled with the loud vocalizations and the unmistakable, pungent smell that resembles a chicken ranch. Their resilience and camaraderie are a testament to the incredible wildlife that thrives in one of the most extreme environments on Earth. We bid farewell to this penguin, while we wait for the next zodiac to return us to the ship. Before we make any landings, we get our boots disinfected by walking through these automatic boot cleaners. We cautiously board the Zodiac that holds around 10 passengers as we take a short Zodiac ride from our Viking Polaris ship to a snow-covered beach off the South Shetland Islands. It is a nice cool day just above freezing. We all are wearing the red H&H parkas and self-inflating black life preservers supplied by Viking. These life preservers are compact and automatically inflate upon contact with water. When we approach within a few hundred yards of the landing site, the strong smell of guano, reminiscent of a chicken farm, and the loud cries of penguins that sound like donkeys greeted us. In front of us, we can see the tracks up the side of the mountain that we will be hiking up. All landings required stepping into water before reaching the slippery, rocky shore. The Viking Expedition guides help us safely on shore. The ship is visible through the opening formed by this iceberg. On the beach, several icebergs have washed ashore. Sue poses beneath an overhanging section of ice, creating the visual impression that she is placing her head inside the jaws of an icy formation resembling a shark. Viking provided an expedition sign and Seventh Continent banner that we took turns posing with. We began our hike under clear skies with breathtaking scenery on snowy slopes. We use walking poles for stability, as you can hear the muffled crunch of the snow on each step. We follow the marked trails designated with orange sticks. I was concerned that one misstep I would slide down the mountain into the ocean. Despite some slips, I stayed upright and avoided any mishaps. After about half a mile, we paused to admire the pristine, snow-capped mountains and the bay filled with blue-white icebergs. During the 7-day stay in Antarctica, 6 landings are made. On this landing, the skies are overcast and the air is crisp, but the penguins remain unfazed. We trek slowly down the mountain, making sure our footing is secure. We wait in a large group for the next zodiac to return us to the ship. At another landing, whale bones and remnants of a shipwreck from long ago are observed. These are fur seals, one of the most common pinnipeds on the Antarctic Peninsula, are present near this old boat, with some engaging in playful behavior. Seals sleep in the daytime as a strategic behavior shaped by their feeding habits, predator threats, and environmental conditions. This is a Weddell seal, often found lying peacefully on ice or snow, is settling in for a nap. He finally falls asleep directly on his back. That sure looks uncomfortable. In addition to seals and numerous penguins, various birds are observed flying overhead. Here are a couple of South Polar skuas flying around. I got a close look at this one as it lands, while a Gentoo penguin watches on. I took these close-up stills in mid-air of a kelp gull, also known as the Dominican gull, and is one of the most common and widespread gulls around the coastal Antarctic Peninsula. Here is one gliding in the updraft as it lands softly. This is a juvenile kelp gull, where you can see its gray plumage, typically in its first or second year. It circles down to make its landing. This is a wandering albatross, one of the largest flying birds in the world. Few permanent structures are seen during our shore excursions, with exceptions including a Chilean marker and a few red shacks. These buildings with Argentine markings currently are having research ongoing. We hike up to this natural rock landmark to peek over the ridge. Here we are all bundled up as we take several selfies of our Antarctica adventure. On the return trip to the ship, transparent organisms are spotted floating in the water. Our guide, the ship's chief scientist, collects some specimens identified as salps. These are transparent, barrel-shaped planktonic tunicates from the family Salpidae. They contribute to the ocean's biological carbon pump and aid in carbon sequestration by filtering carbon from surface waters and transporting it to the deep sea via fecal pellets, helping to regulate Earth's climate. Upon returning to the ship, boots are sprayed with disinfectants to minimize the transfer of any organisms in a process similar to boarding the Zodiacs. The Viking Polaris as well as the Viking Octantes each carry 2 submersibles with 270-degree spherical acrylic windows providing panoramic underwater views. The subs have a capacity of 6 guests plus the pilot. We take a Zodiac to where the sub is at, and then we board one at a time through the top hatch. It is a tight fit as you need to carefully navigate down the ladder to your seat. We are all in our seats as the pilot does some last-minute safety checks.
Oxygen self-rescue. If the atmosphere inside the submarine would become unbreathable for some reason, I will let you know to equip these. This will provide us with, my readings are 0220 letting that air out, taking in water, so we will be...
The pilot lets the Polaris staff know we are starting our dive as the pilot floods the ballast tanks with seawater, and we become negatively buoyant. The pilot unlocks our seats so they swivel around facing outward. As we descend, krill are swimming in front of us. This is the primary food source for the whales and penguins. After 15 minutes or so, we reach the ocean floor. At this location, it is 600 feet. This sub is rated at 1,000 feet, so we should be okay. These are basket stars. Basket stars have long, flexible, spiny arms that filter plankton and other food particles from the water. This is a spiny sea cucumber that has a tough, spiny outer body. Next to it are two brittle stars closely related to starfish, but have much thinner and more fragile arms. This fish is an Antarctic dragonfish, characterized by its elongated body, large pectoral fins, and distinctive dorsal fin. These fish have antifreeze proteins in their blood that help them survive in the freezing waters of Antarctica. At a depth of 600 feet, the absence of sunlight makes the water entirely dark. To illustrate this, the pilot turns off the submersible's lights for a few seconds to just show how dark it is. Amazing! We ascend to the surface as we can see the Zodiac is already here. We carefully climb up the ladder through the small hatch. We board the Zodiac to return to the ship. The opening at Polaris's stern is used to launch the subs and other watercrafts. Viking Polaris is one of the first civilian vessels officially designated by NOAA and the United States National Weather Service as a weather balloon launch station in Antarctica. This cruise ship adds to the global network of about 102 stations worldwide. Balloons used are biodegradable latex, equipped with a radiosonde that measures temperature, pressure, humidity, and wind speed throughout the ascent. The data is broadcast live to the ship and transmitted to NOAA. The Viking Polaris does one launch per cruise on Deck 7, around 8 o'clock. Many of us got up early and waited in the freezing weather to witness the weather balloon launch. There were some minor technical difficulties, and the launch didn't get off until 8:13 a.m. local time. Here is the countdown.
3, 2, 1, go!
The balloon reaches altitudes around 55 to 100,000 feet before bursting after 2 hours or so. This is into the stratosphere. The collected upper air atmospheric data fills critical gaps, especially over remote southern ocean and Antarctic regions, feeding into global weather forecasts and climate models. Viking Antarctica passengers gain first-hand insight into how microplastics are collected and identified. Chief Scientist Dr. Brandy Revels and her team oversee this microplastics research as part of Viking's broader citizen science programs on Antarctic voyages. The primary aim is to better understand the presence and distribution of microplastic particles in remote ocean regions like the Drake Passage and the Southern Ocean. Here we are observing the results. Scientific studies have confirmed that microplastics, including synthetic fibers and small plastic fragments, are widely present in Antarctic air, seawater, sea ice, snow, sediment, and even in the diet of krill.
Our trip was distinguished by the outstanding and attentive staff, whose dedication greatly enhanced our experience. We thoroughly enjoyed the excellent food provided throughout the voyage. Meeting and interacting with fellow passengers became a cherished part of our journey. Most importantly, the breathtaking scenery of Antarctica left a lasting impression, making this one of our favorite adventures.